Hey, what's happening? SirJames coming at you guys with another video. In today's video, I'm here to give you guys a quick little update on the channel, along with a video game haul, and of course, a camera upgrade that I went with, and I'll discuss more about that in just a moment. First off, is just a quick update, and this is mainly for those who are new to the channel. Next week is obviously got to work, so everyone's talking about it, reviews and scores and all that crazy stuff. But if you didn't know this already, next week, that's when it comes out, and I will be unboxing here on the channel the limited edition God of War PS4 Pro console, along with the Stonemason Collector's Edition. And I did a voting option in terms of what you guys wanted, if you guys wanted me to unbox both of them in just one video, or to have two separate videos. And you guys voted for two separate videos, so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. And that's pretty much the update right there. Next up is, of course, an upgrade that I did as far as my camera equipment, which I was previously using the Canon Rebel T6i, which is not a bad camera. However, there's a few features that I tend to lack, and especially in regards to the autofocusing, I didn't like the autofocus at all for the T6i. But the reason why I went with that model during the time is because, one, that was the highest Rebel series that you can get at that point in time, but there was a newer version, which I got right here. And again, it was also affordable at the same time. But the newer version actually came out last year in the early portions, which do keep in mind that when it comes to cameras, that's not my best knowledge. Video games I know more of, but when it comes to like cameras and equipment and lenses, that's my weakest knowledge. Just so you guys are fully aware. So if you're thinking like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, well, now you know. But this is what I upgraded to. Again, I was previously using the Canon Rebel T6i, and I upgraded to the Rebel T7i right here, which, based on all the major camera tech review channels, a lot of people have been stating that this is on par with the Canon 80D, which is a very popular choice, but it goes for around the $1,000 price range. But I'm looking to spending less than $1,000. So I ended up just buying the body only, which does come with the batteries and strap, but I didn't need the kit lens because the lens I'm using right here is the Canon 10-18, where you got the super wide angle view, so you guys can kind of see the backgrounds and stuff like that, you know, see a little bit more of my environment instead of just me being condensed a little bit more of a smaller box. But I love this camera right here, the T7i. If you were planning on buying a Canon brand, specifically any of the Rebel series, you should definitely go for this one. To name a few highlights, which again, you could always go and check out some of the more, you know, those who are much more knowledgeable, could kind of give you the more in-depth reason as to why you prefer this one over the T6i. Is first off, as far as video recording goes, it's exactly the same. You do have the 1080p recording option, but the main difference here is that with the T7i, you could actually record in 60 frames. If you wanted to record in 60 frames for my old model, the T6i, you would actually have to reduce the resolution to 720 in order to have that option. But for here, for the T7i, 60 frames, 1080p, perfect. Of course, you could also downscale it to 30 frames if you wanted to, but again, that's reason number one. Reason number two, which is the biggest one, is the autofocusing system. The autofocus and the 80D models are pretty crazy. When people hold up items and stuff like that, you know, the camera snaps into it and like it just focuses. It's like very good. For the T6i model, anytime that I would hold items in front of you guys, like the last haul video did, where I was trying to show you guys the Kratos figure, it took a while for it to focus in on that figure, and then when I removed it from the lens, it took a little bit of time to focus back on me. It's super annoying, especially if I'm doing haul videos a lot and I want to constantly hold items in front of me to kind of give you guys a closer look. You know, I want it to be much quicker, because half the time when I hold items, I usually hold it far back from the camera, just so that way it doesn't have to do that focusing. But again, I wanted to give you guys closer looks anyways. But again, that's probably the biggest reason number two. Actually, that's the number one reason. The 60 frames is reason number two. And of course, you have a much better battery life. And there's a few other positive things. You could also take raw images, meaning that you don't have to worry about the quality being reduced because of whatever settings it's using. But again, there's a lot of different reasons. So I definitely look into it, if you're planning on getting a Canon Rebel series. Get the T7i, because you will not regret it. So to kind of demonstrate that autofocusing, because this is something that I showed you guys on the last haul video, is that I have a Kratos figure right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I know what you guys are thinking, well, that's a terrible autofocusing. It's not even focusing on Kratos. Do keep in mind that right now the autofocus is set in a square box focusing whatever's in front of it, which is me. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is that I'm going to move Kratos in front of the box, which again, you guys can't see the box because it's invisible, but I see it on my monitor right here. So the box is right here, meaning that off to the side here, you can't see anything because it's going to be blurry. Now watch this. Boom. There's Kratos right there, back in focus. And again, I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. Boom, back on me. Back on Kratos. Back on me. Is that not cool or what? So, love it. So anyways, that's enough about the camera and of course the update on that. So let's go ahead and get to the video games, because that is what you guys are here. But again, this is also an initial test to kind of see if I have settings correct and kind of go from there as well. So video game number one, again, do keep in mind that everything that I picked up here is in regards to the Xbox 360 once again, because I'm kind of building my Xbox 360 lineup, my library, because I initially, if you guys see the video game stands over here, what I initially want to have eventually is to have like one full thing of Nintendo Switch games, PS3, PS2, 360, Xbox One, and so forth. So that's initially what I'm going for. And on top of that, a lot of the Xbox 360 games, at least right now at GameStop, are very cheap. So that's why I want to get some of these too, especially some of the ones that might be harder to get. First one here is in regards to Two Worlds, and this is actually the collector's edition. Someone eventually traded in. To kind of go over what's inside this box is you have a registry card. You also have a 48 trial Xbox Live, which has not been used, and I'm not sure if there's an expiration date on these or not, but there's that. You also get a map, a big booklet here. This one I thought was pretty cool. At first I thought it was an art book, but it's actually a tabletop RPG, which is pretty interesting. And when you open it up, it has like instructions. You will need a thing of dice, but it looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have any friends to play with, so unfortunately I will never know if the tabletop's any good, but maybe someone has a YouTube video showing it off. And of course, I almost forgot, you don't get a steelbook case. This is back when collector's editions weren't really about steelbooks. But you do get like a bonus disc, which I'm not sure exactly what's in it. Probably says on the box somewhere. And of course you get the main game. So looking forward to playing it. Again, that one was only like $3, so I can't complain. Next one is an update to a game that I got from the last haul, Far Cry 2. When I showed you guys from it before, I showed you guys a generic case, which again didn't have the original artwork, but one did show up at my local GameStop, so I took that one back and I asked if I could exchange the boxes, and they said yes, which is, again, if that's something that you want to do, again, most of the time they'll probably agree to do it, especially if you shop there a lot. So here is the original cover for Far Cry 2. So it's nice to have the original case now instead of, again, the generic ugly one, which is basically white and has the name on it, and that's about it. Next up, which recently just got traded in, actually yesterday, and I saw this, and again, I'm not much of a big fighting type game person, but I got this one because I heard like the storyline and the plot was really, really good. Of course, I'm kind of using sarcasm here because of what I'm about to show you guys, which is Rumble Roses XX, which is only on the Xbox 360 according to this little tag on the top here. So yeah, I got this for the plot. Don't judge me. I don't know. Again, I feel like, this is something that I never see turn up at a GameStop, so that's why I got it. Might be a hidden gem, so it might be good. I don't know. Next up is Star Ocean: The Last Hope. I do have this on PS3, and I wasn't sure if there was much of a difference. Maybe there are two different ones. Apparently, the one on PlayStation 3 was the International Edition, which means that you got like the original Japanese voiceover and like a bunch of extra stuff. And yes, I'm fully aware Star Ocean did get an HD remaster treatment, but I'm currently waiting for a sale on that one. But I also picked up on the 360 because, again, this is one of those games that I never see pop up at a GameStop, and it even had the original case. And of course, best of all, because it's something that I do miss back on PS1 days, is that this actually has multiple discs of 3. So again, a feeling that I tend to love, but unfortunately, if you do get the 360 version, you're stuck with the English voiceover, which I heard wasn't that good, but everyone has different opinions. So I mean, there's that. But again, there's a remastered edition you could find. I think it's like $20, but this was I paid was $6. And the Rumble Roses was $6 as well. Next up is another $2 game, which is the Anarchy Reigns, a game that I haven't heard of before, but one thing that did catch my interest in this game is the fact that, again, it was relatively inexpensive, and the main one, it has Platinum Games stamped on the bottom here, and Platinum Games actually does make really good games. So, like for example, Vanquish and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance are a couple of examples. So, I'm looking forward to this one. Apparently there is multiplayer, but I don't know if the multiplayer is active or not, so we'll kind of wait and see. Apparently you could go up to 16 players, which is pretty cool, but there is a story mode, so again, hopefully it's good. I mean, it's Platinum Games, so I've heard, again, they're really good at what they do. The other one, of course, is the Star Wars Force Unleashed, and apparently this one actually has the original steelbook case. A little bit scratched up, but I mean, you can't go wrong with having the steelbook for Star Wars. On the other side, of course, you have Darth Vader. He's kind of like in the dark right now. So yeah. Of course, it comes complete with the instruction booklet. If you got the original collector's edition, I think this was the collector's or limited edition. I forgot what it was called, but you know, you got like this little USB of Starkiller. I think that was his name. I might be getting the things mixed up because, again, you know, sometimes, you know, it's been a while since I've seen like original cases like this. But there's that one. That one was only like $5. Next up is another $2 to $3 game, which is Tom Clancy's End War. If you've never checked out this game, I recommend you guys do, because again, for $2 or $3 you can't go wrong. What's fun about the game is that you have a couple ways of playing. I don't know if online is still supported or not. You could always check, or I could check. But basically, a couple ways you have playing is, of course, you could move people around with your controller, basically issuing commands of where they need to go, of who goes into the building, capturing what point, or probably the best way of playing it is using a headset to communicate with you're basically the general of your army. It's like Unit 1, move to Zulu, Unit 3, capture Bravo, and go from there. But it's a really fun game. I remember playing tons of this, especially online. I wasn't too bad at it in regards to online. Sometimes I'll have not so good teammates, but other times I'll have good teammates and we just like dominate the battlefield. I'll have one focus on like air support, and then I'll go on with like the ground troops. Ground troops were my personal best interest, especially coming in, outflanking the enemy with artillery shells. Man, such fun. But, again, fun game nonetheless. You can still play against the AI and have difficulty settings too, which sometimes they can be a pain. And last but not least, unfortunately, this one did not have the original case. But again, if one does show up, I could eventually exchange it for that one. And that, of course, is Crackdown 2. Now, Crackdown 2 isn't yet backwards compatible with the Xbox One, but just in case it does, I have the game ready to go, because any game that becomes backwards compatible usually gets a price increase at GameStop by a few bucks, depending on what game it is. So, I'm currently replaying it, upgrading my unit, because this is one of those games that I put a lot of time into, because when I was introduced to Crackdown 2 is where I started from. And I was currently going through Crackdown 1 because I got that in the last haul. But again, really fun game. Can't wait for the third one. And of course, last but not least, is this item here called the Game Writer, which is basically a storage case, which I have right here. So let me go ahead and finish filling this out really quick with the games that I just opened up. One of the things I was actually bummed out about is that they didn't have the same cases that I got over there, which were made by Level 1. I have two different ones. The one on the, making sure everything's correct, the one on the far right side actually has a cup on the top, so you could put like your Wii remotes in there or your controllers. And then the other two, again, are also from Level 1. And what's nice about those is that you could actually stack them together, or you could hang it up on the wall. So this goes here. And then I have some extras, but unfortunately, this was $15. I ended up using some of my points to reduce this from $15 to only $5 because I was trying to keep my initial purchase pretty low. And, you know, this case isn't too bad. The only downside is that it doesn't store as many games compared to those over there. But I do have one filled out with nothing but Xbox 360 games right here. So again, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, this doesn't have any like wall mounting options if that is something that you wanted to do. But again, this isn't too bad. I kind of feel like when I have this over there, it's not going to kind of feel the same. It's almost to the point where I might have to just replace those with these. But again, definitely not bad if you have a bunch of games that you need to stack. I don't know, actually you might see it on the box of how many games that you could stack here. It actually holds a total of only 24 games. Not the one on the far right, but the two over here, they hold, I think it was 32 or 35 games, somewhere around there. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this. I do apologize about that little cut there. Apparently, I wasn't paying attention to how much space was left on my memory card, so the video just kind of cut out whatever it is that I was talking about, which I don't exactly remember. I think it was involving the game cases here. But again, that was pretty much it for this video. But like I said, I love this camera. Hopefully, everything worked out perfectly as far as my testing goes, because I was trying to remember what settings I initially used. But yeah, like I said, God of War next week. I cannot wait. And I should have a review in the next day or two for Skyrim VR. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next video.